We embark on a journey into the Kigali experience. For those of us that have been to Rwanda, fantastic. For those of us that haven't been to Rwanda, absolutely fantastic. You are in the right place if what you want to hear is everything that you've been hearing about Rwanda and much more. And why is such an exciting time to have Rwanda and Kigali International Center as a financial hub within Africa. The Kigali International Financial Center, is a narrative of a transformation that has positioned Rwanda as a leading financial hub in Africa. Through strategic partnerships that it has fostered, innovative policies, a commitment to excellence, Kigali is redefining the African continent's financial landscape and is doing it so, so well. You will ask yourself, why Kigali? Or we should ask ourselves, why Kigali? Kigali has emerged as a dynamic gateway for global investors. It offers a conducive environment for business growth and innovation. At the heart of Kigali's transformation is the KIFC, under the leadership of its chairman, Tijane Tam, a distinguished figure when you are looking at international finance. What are the key highlights that comes to play when we are talking about Kigali? Global partnerships that are driving impact. And for me, one of the key things about Kigali that actually got me into the Kigali, for those of you that know me, have heard me talk about Kigali as a jurisdiction for structuring and for planning your financial assets and your wealth management and every other thing you want to do, is Formula One. I'm a very wonderful Formula One fan, and this has been years in the making. So just getting to know that Kigali is positioning itself to have a racetrack in Rwanda, and also you have one of the greats, the Formula One greats, Lewis Hamilton, also visiting Rwanda and also championing the cause for a racetrack to be in Kigali, such that people like us that are fans away can actually have a racetrack in Africa. So that is one global partnership that Rwanda has forged, is forging, and is continuing to do. Others are, when you look at the Visit Rwanda, I don't know how many of us are football fans here. So if you're an Arsenal fan or you are a Paris Saint-Germain fan, you would see it. So there is that intentional drive to ensure that there is awareness about Kigali and what Kigali and Rwanda as a whole seeks to provide for everyone. We also have Volkswagen. Volkswagen has built a manufacturing plant and is introducing innovative mobility solutions within the African ecosystem. We also have the Basketball African League. For those of us that are basketball fans, you would see that they've hosted playoffs and finals in Kigali, and they've positioned the city. Kigali has been positioned for a sports and entertainment hub. Who are other international icons that are also looking at Kigali? We have Bill Gates. Through his Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, they've committed significant funds to the Kigali and the Rwanda healthcare system. We have Steve Harvey, who recently just left Kigali after just about a couple of weeks ago. We have Meghan Markle. We also have, if you're a Nigerian, you will know Mr. Easy. Mr. Easy is also one of those that have gone into the Kigali ecosystem, is utilizing it, and at the same time is working to expand the creative industry and real estate industry within the Kigali, Rwanda ecosystem. We also have billionaires coming into the country. We have Aliko Dangote. We also have Mohammed Deji. These are just telling you that there is a lot going on that is intentional and targeted. The KIFC, Kigali International Financial Center, offers a range of services and financial structures that have been carefully tailored for investors' needs. You can have your holding company there. You can have your SPVs set up there. You can have your trust for wealth preservation and succession planning. You can also have your foundation if you're charitably inclined. You also have global trading, where Kigali offers you simplified startup for your business, a very good, wonderful banking system that is also internationally recognized and accepted. These structures are all underpinned under the Kigali International Financial Center initiative, the KIFC. For today, what we'll be talking about is understanding as advisors, as clients, as everyone that has an interest with what is going on in Kigali. What are the structures? What are the solutions? What are the services that Kigali readily provides for us as an international financial center and destination? So we'll look into the types of financial structures that are available at KIFC. Just as I have said, holding company, SPVs, trust, foundations, and we will now seek to see how they align with different investment goals. We also discuss wealth preservation, succession planning as a cornerstone for preserving wealth and ensuring continuity across generations. There is no way you would have a webinar with Fiduciary Services Limited where the focus of our conversations are not on you, your assets, your wealth, your family, and your legacy. So that is all we do. My name is Mercy Adukugo Amina. I manage the team at Fiduciary Services Limited, and it's my immense pleasure to welcome you today to the Kigali experience. And I will be joined in this conversation with other very wonderful, eminent persons. Those who have experienced Kigali, those who are still using the financial center, and those who are providing the services that are being used. Fiduciary Services Limited operates out of Lagos, Nigeria, but we do have a global footprint and would work with partners that are dispersed globally. First off, I would now introduce Lydie. Lydie is the CEO and founder of Elmer Corporate Services. She has a non-executive director experience that spans 20 years plus of successfully driving business development initiatives and achieving organizational growth from startups, NGOs, large corporations, whether within the banking, health, telecom, hospitality, and consulting sector. She's recognized by clients for transforming innovative concepts into tangible and sustainable outcomes. And she has a very strong corporate governance and regulatory background. Next up, we would talk about, okay, so Kingston Terminal is a seasoned business strategist and social entrepreneur with over 15 years of experience in international finance, AI, blockchain, marketing, sales, branding, and digital innovation. He's the Chief Partnership Officer at Boundless Networks Limited, a pioneering blockchain mobile banking platform that facilitates global remittance and payment solutions across the US, the UK, Europe, Dubai, and Nigeria, as well as other parts of Africa and 20 other additional nations. His efforts at Boundless Nexus bridge the gap between conventional financial system and blockchain-based services, promoting secure and accessible financial solutions. So we go to Abraham. Abraham is a technology, media, and telecoms researcher with a background in business journalism, brand and marketing operations, At Norsken East Africa, Abraham is responsible for strategic communications, brand management, and the implementation of key learning initiatives for community and ecosystem. And we are absolutely delighted to have Abraham with us today. Last but not the least is Gail. Gail is a Rwanda-Belgian entrepreneur passionate about leveraging technology to drive innovation and growth in Africa. He's the founder and CEO of Araka, a consulting and digital solutions company that is dedicated to helping businesses optimize their processes and embrace digital transformation. Operating in Rwanda, Burundi, Cote d'Ivoire, Gabon, Morocco, and Kenya, Araka is a key player in transitioning companies from traditional methods to efficient digital platforms. In addition to his work with Araka, he also founded the Chile's company, where he organized unique networking events under the banner of the Chile's After Work. So it's a pleasure to have all our speakers with us today. And without further ado, we yield the floor to Lydie for her to take her presentation as an introduction into the Kigali International Financial Center ecosystem, the solutions they provide, and the services that are being rendered. Thank you so much, everyone.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Lydie. Thank you, Merci, for the floor. I'm going to share the screen so I can let you see the presentation. We want it to be very interactive, so the presentation is going to be short. Thank you. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, please, Lydie.
Thank you. So as Mercy explained at the beginning, we are going to give you an overview about International Financial Center, specifically on the Kigali experience. As an introduction, our company is called ML Corporate Services. We are based in Kigali, and we have a team with over 20 years of experience providing essentially financial and advisory services. We have a deep understanding of the Africa's unique challenges and opportunities, reason why we are among the pioneer of the Kigali International Financial Center as a member. And we are registered as trust company services provider, licensed by our central bank. And we provide expertise in entity formation and structuring, tax planning and compliance, anything related to governance and administrative support as well. So we try to bring in a global expertise with local insights to deliver different types of solutions. And we are also committed to build sustainable financial ecosystem across Africa. So today our vision is about empowering Africa businesses through innovative solutions, keeping wealth on the continent to drive economic growth, and providing tailored financial structure that reflect African realities. On the map, you will see our presence internationally. So some are our partners across different continents, US, as well Africa and Europe, including the different clients we've been onboarding under the KIFC for the past 4 years now. So why Kigali International Financial Center? We would like to have be a liaison between what the Kigali International Financial Center is providing. And you have probably heard about the different experience Mrs. Mercy has been talking about. And there are different people or structure which decided to come to Rwanda to use the platform as a financial center in order to grow across the continent. So one of the reasons is because Rwanda is strategically positioned in Africa, and quite close to the different markets in Africa. We are focusing on fostering financial proximity and building strong relationship with African countries in priority. We want also to emphasize collaboration to leverage talents and expertise across the continent, finding win-win solutions that drive sustainable economic growth, also guided by Tijan Thiam, who is the chairman of the Kigali International Financial Center. But beyond everything, having a transparent, efficient, and always aligned with international standards to attract different investors, either local or international. So Mercy has been talking about different type of structure you can establish through the Kigali International Financial Center. Among them, we have holding companies, SPVs, trust and foundation, or global trading. So among the different clients or different partners who have been coming to Rwanda, they are looking at specific structure where they can get not only tax incentives because they are operating within the Kigali International Financial Center, but how they can also from Rwanda tap into the different opportunities offered in different countries across Africa. For instance, we've been talking about wealth preservation and transmission. We have different entities who are setting up their holding in Kigali, but mostly operating in different countries in Africa. Why do they choose that option? Is mostly because when it comes to security, stability, Rwanda has been able to position itself for some years now. And when it comes specifically to financial transaction, you are aware that in most of the cases, when it comes to transact from one country to another, depending on the regulation of central banks in those respective countries, you may end up struggling because sometimes you are not allowed to have to hold foreign bank accounts in your respective banks, or when it comes to pay your supplier or send money from your respective jurisdiction to another, it's always a headache. So at Rwanda level, though we have to comply with the regulation under the central bank, our commercial banks usually are quite flexible and are also working in a certain way where anyone, as long as he has every KYC in place and fulfilling the requirements, they can hold different bank accounts in foreign currency, in local currency. And as long as they want to send money or receive money from any other country, it's quite easy and it can be done instantly. Then we have also a structure like SPV, special purpose vehicle. Let's assume that you want to enter into partnership with another partner and you don't necessarily want to use your normal structure. You decide to embrace the SPV flexibility where it's just a specific project which is not going to last more than 2 or 3 years. And after that, you can continue your respective businesses. When it comes to wealth preservation, you know that by experience in Africa specifically, we are still building that culture of ensuring that anything we've been building for the past years is going to remain and transmitted to our children, to our families without any issue. So we are also working around empowering Africans, but also across the different generations, to make them understand that it's important when you have built your company to ensure that you are also working on your succession plan, because you don't want to end up where, for any reason, there is an issue in terms of continuation of your business because you have not planned accordingly. So you can now register different type of structure like trust as foundation with really good tax incentives to encourage you working on that wealth preservation. Then we have also what we call global trading entities, especially for people who are in the trading businesses. Again, it's in terms of ensuring that you don't have any issues when it's time to pay your different suppliers and getting money from your different clients. So this is a summary of the type of structure you can register within the KIFC. My colleagues, Kingston and Abraham, will mostly emphasize on another type of structure, fintech, because as well, Rwanda has decided to position itself in the fintech industry, in innovation. You may have heard about the different conferences and event Rwanda has been organizing around the fintech industry, but it's also come with specific tax incentives. What are the benefits in terms of joining the Rwandan vision? It comes with competitive tax incentives, including 3% when it comes to corporate income tax. We have progressive regulatory reforms that align with global best practices. For your information, for the past 4 years, we have been witnessing the change in terms of different laws, almost 18 laws, which has been gazetted in order to attract more investors, but also in terms of protecting them when it comes to operating in Rwanda, and also giving you different platform in terms of accessing East African market, but also other African countries where we have agreements. We have been also signing different DTAs. Today, Rwanda has 15 DTAs with different countries and is also continuing building on other countries. For example, in Africa, we have South Africa, Mauritius, Benin. For Nigerian, they are still in negotiation, but the different drafts have been shared, I think, since last year. And this is really important because this is also another way of attracting more investors into this jurisdiction. So in terms of the different structure we've been registering within the KIFC, we have a family foundation. Let's talk about different vision in terms of philanthropic activities across Africa. We usually think about other jurisdiction when it comes to put in place foundation, but now we have also Rwanda on the financial map. We have regional conglomerates. What are the kind of structuring you can put in place, and you have always a possibility to evolve with the businesses you are involved in. And beyond that, what we are looking at is not only to bring investors into Kigali, it's also how can we make sure that what you are bringing into our financial center is going to be preserved. But as an example, for the past 4 years, the Kigali International Financial Center managed to attract more than $300 million as investment. And those investments coming into Rwanda are not only benefiting Rwanda, but they also benefit other countries. For example, we have the Virunga Fund, which is a collaboration between Rwanda and Qatar. And that fund is dedicated to really benefit the fintech industry. We have the FEDA fund from Afrexim Bank, and where they're really focusing into anything related to manufacturing industry, and it is a 200 million fund, just as example. So now about the different in tax incentives, we were talking about the holding company, SPV, sorry, collective investment scheme, global trading entities, IP companies. For there, usually you have a 3% corporate income tax, and you get additional tax benefits when it comes to pay back to your shareholders, dividends, interest, royalties. You don't have any withholding tax applying. Then for the different countries we've already signed DTAs, you have an additional benefit. But beyond that as well, when you come to invest or put certain structure, when you need to go and explore other jurisdiction where Rwanda has already a footprint, you can still leverage on your presence and negotiate with the Kigali International Financial Center to help you or facilitate you reaching those other jurisdictions. Let's say, for example, you want to go and trade with Kenya or Senegal, etc. Anywhere we have relationship at the government level or regional level, we always make sure that you are not alone in that journey. So that's briefly what our KIFC is proposing today. And the most important, I think, is to understand that it's not a matter of only bringing investors under the KIFC. It's mostly about how can we work together as African countries. What can you bring to us? What can we give? What we can give back to us. We mostly focus in this webinar on the different type of structure, but even if you don't fall in those specific structure, there are still other possibilities in terms of doing businesses because Rwanda is growing as well when it comes to fund manager, when it comes to specific advisory, legal, accounting, etc. There are also other types of incentives to attract that knowledge and making sure that if we are bringing fintech, if we are talking about ESG, that we can also get resources across the continent to make it more useful, and it's a win-win solution. I think I will stop there and let my colleagues continue so they can share also their experience.
Okay, thank you so much, Lydie, for sharing as much information about KIFC. Um, and the different solutions that are available for either entrepreneurs, conglomerates, international firms, um, fintechs, and the like. So thank you so much for that. I'm just going to call in Augustine right now, Abraham. If he's, yeah, Abraham, are you with us?
Yes, very much with
Okay,
everybody.
fantastic. So, given what Lydie has said, the first thing I want to ask everyone is in your own. So, Lydie operates in Rwanda. Her business operates out of Rwanda. So, as a service provider, but we want to find out from those who have utilized the ecosystem, who have utilized KIFC, who are living in Rwanda and experiencing Rwanda, to let us know how it is. So I would ask you the same way I would also ask Gail and Kingston to chip in. Why Rwanda? So I'm starting with you, Abraham.
Hey, can you hear me? Uh, can you hear me and see me now? Hi.
Okay, we
All
can
right.
see you now.
Super. Um, just also to mention that BD's company is also a company that we work with very closely as a retainer. I also run a business, so good to see you again, Lady. It's actually been a while. That said, I'm going to answer your question from two perspectives, and I'm going to try to keep it super short so we can go around. Why Rwanda for me at a very personal level, right? And this is an answer I usually give to people, and it's very short and short. It's quiet, full stop. Thank you very much. Okay.
Okay. I
And
can
that's a
relate.
very personal response, right?
Yeah.
But then moving on to the more serious things, which I'm going to address from running a business, but also working in an international organization that's also here. So I run Aperçu. Aperçu is it's an it's a boutique IT consultancy that does a bunch of things, including communications, but also software development around agricultural commodities data. So it's pretty much still an under the radar business. So not a lot of people, at least not a lot of people who know me from my previous hats, know that we also run that business, but it's a thing that's running. And to be honest, why Rwanda was literally a roll of a dice. Well, not literally a roll of a dice, but a roll of a dice in a very friendly sort of way, in the sense that we had several options. We had the UK, we had Mauritius, we had South Africa. Mauritius and South Africa were where my co-founder spent most of his formative years. He studied in Mauritius. He worked for a South African company that was also. Can everyone hear me? I'm just
I'm
going to
just trying
proceed
to
with the
confirm
if
that.
everyone can hear me.
Yes,
Yeah.
we can hear you, Abraham. It's
Okay.
fine.
Perfect. Super.
Okay.
Thank you,
Fantastic.
Gael. So essentially, yes, my co-founder, studied in Mauritius, spent a lot of time in South Africa, and basically worked for a Mauritius headquartered firm from South Africa. And so we had those options. And we were like, so in Nigeria, we have this thing we call Tumbo Tumbo. And I was in Kenya at the time, by the way. And so we just decided to, you know what, I'm going to spend a lot of time in Rwanda anyways, because I had some client work there. And so it just made sense to base the company where I'll be very based. So these are very personal examples. But in terms of the more objective reality, it was easy to set up. It has like very structured environments to support business processes. Pretty much more structured than, I mean, the World Bank has discontinued its doing business report. But if you were to sort of gauge that, of course, there were all sorts of scandals and why it suspended it, but its measurement of doing business in Rwanda from all the different objective parameters were pretty much accurate, have been pretty much accurate in my opinion. It's also a big reason why Norskin is also here in Rwanda. And I can tell a bit of the Norskin story. It was a very, very opportunistic. So there's a bit of a connection. Same thing for me. We were looking at other options, and then we decided to go with Rwanda. Similarly, Norskin was actually looking at London, and they were actually evaluating companies in buildings in London, real estate in London. And then an opportunity opened up in Rwanda, and they're like, okay, we can just take it. It's a very structured environment, very ambitious government targets. And those are super important, right? You don't have a lot of, and when I say ambitious, I'm talking about real ambition, not the fluffy stuff. Unfortunately, you don't have a lot of African governments, unfortunately, that are not just ambitious, but back that ambition with actually moving forward with strategic initiatives. You find that in Rwanda, you find that in government and private sector. And so you have like this combination of opportunity, but also an environment that really wants it. And when you have that combination, it doesn't make any sense to not take it. It's a why not type of situation, right? So I guess that's a way to answer the why Rwanda question. It's a why not Rwanda? And it's essentially a bet that there's something here that is going to be really big in a few years down the line. And we're essentially staking an early claim. Well, not exactly early, because to be honest, there are people who have been here for far longer and who can speak to the benefits of having a calm place to sort of structure and run things, regardless of wherever it is that your primary markets or primary clients are. And that has been both my experience and it's been the experience of the other organizations that I represent and have worked with so far.
Fantastic, good one, Abraham. So I like quiet. Quiet is fantastic for me, um, because it provides a lot of options for me. Just that environment to thrive. I I find it very much um, readily. I mean, it comes to me when I'm in my quiet environment or I'm in my quiet zone, and having a quiet place. We can all attest to the hustle and bustle that is Lagos, Nigeria. If you're operating from Nigeria, yeah, in West Africa. I also like the fact that this is a very ambitious and purpose driven governance that we are seeing unravel in Rwanda.
If I could say,
Intentional, ambitious, and purpose driven, as a team, as a group of people that have come together to do wonderful things within the African continent. So I'm going to ask the same question to Kingston. Kingston, if you are here to join us, why Rwanda?
Yeah, hello, confirm if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I'm trying to get my video up as well. Okay, excellent. So, why Rwanda? Um, pretty much an interesting story. My colleague and I, Boundless B, we hosted an event last year, and it also concerns with our vacation as well. And I remember that during that period we toured around Kenya, Uganda, and of course Rwanda. And I observed the Kenyan industry environment as it is, Rwanda as well and Uganda. But for Rwanda was quite very, very, like Abraham said, very, very quiet and calm, right? And for someone like me, I love a very, very Okay. So someone like me, I love a very, very quiet and calm environment, right? It helps me to process a lot because I do lots of brain work activity. And I remember I got back to Nigeria and I told my friends, my parents that, I would love to relocate to Rwanda next year. No, as of then, nobody was seeing the need to, because my company was beginning to pick up right in Nigeria. What we do then was we invest into blockchain startups companies, right? And of course, we weren't so sure what the regulation was for in Rwanda. But then again, I knew that for what it can be, Nigeria being a very, very populated and complex market, um, investing in only blockchain startup was not really what I wanted, right? I wanted to be very much involved in building businesses because that's what my interest is, right? Why we choose to invest is because if you go to build businesses in Nigeria, there are lots of competition, right? Competition is enormous. But if you want to invest, right, the options are quite there because very few companies, right, invest in startups. And when we talk about startups, we talk about blockchain-based fintech startups, right? So our niche was very, very very carefully picked. So when we came to Rwanda, I think a couple of times I went to the CMA, which is Capital Market Authority. I asked series of questions about blockchain and all that. But then, right, regulations around that is not created yet. So I decided to do what I love doing, which is to build businesses. So what we do here, Aleph, is that Aleph as a company, we help businesses to grow, right? So if you have a business, I can see one of my clients on the call already, right? So if you have a business and you want to emphasize a business from level A to level B, right, we'll come in. If your business is not doing so well, we'll come in. So what we do is that we look into your businesses and try to see where the loopholes are. Is it operational? Is it tech invention related, or what is it, right? Then of course at the boundless pay level, I work on boundless pay as a remote worker. chief partnership officer. So I can be anywhere in the world and still do my job. I can be in China, right? So, the ability for me to really want to do what's on my mind, right, and grow, right? Rwanda provided me that opportunity. And of course, policies here are being taken down to the letter, right? You have policies for you to be able to grow and establish. If you're looking for a country where things really work, right, Rwanda was just the perfect place for me. And, it was a no-brainer for me to choose anywhere else. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thanks so much, Kingston. That was quite a story. Yes. From holidaying into building businesses and just allowing your passion for building businesses to the location resonated with you. So, girl, I'm going to come to you now. I know that you are Rwanda Belgian, and I don't know what the mix there is, whether it's from the maternal or from the paternal side, but just speak to us from your own perspective and your experience. Why Rwanda?
Okay. Thank you to give me the mic. I think the previous people expressed already a lot. For me, it was as well by chance, let's say. So I was in Ivory Coast just before coming in Rwanda, and there I was opening a business, and I came in Rwanda to meet some partners. And at the end, I just realized that Rwanda offers something really unique. So the commitment from the government, the ease of doing business, and as well the policy is just making Kigali an incredible place to start a business. The other thing really important. Most of my friends doing business, they often telling me that Rwanda is a small market, so it's not really interesting for them, right? And I'm really agree with that because saying that it's a big market will be a lie. But Rwanda is the perfect place to start the business, making something called a minimum viable product. See if the product is good, if the market is ready for what you want to launch, right? And after that, thanks to all the regulation between all the East Africa community, it's really, really easy to extend activities in East Africa, like Kenya, Uganda, where the market is huge. So it's easy to ease of doing business. It's easy to scale as well regionally. And as you mentioned as well, I'm Rwandan, so it was quite important for me as well to come back home and to put to try to make something for my country as well.
Fantastic. I think one thread that runs through what everyone has said from their experience is you get into Rwanda and you don't want to leave. I don't want to say you get
Exactly.
stuck. Okay, I
No,
don't want
no.
it to have like a negative connotation. You don't get stuck. You have a lot of options, but just what the ecosystem, what the country provides and what the agencies provide has just made it seamless for you to thrive in all the different things that you do. And that's absolutely remarkable. You've talked about the ease of doing business, you've talked about the cooperation, the partnerships you're able to forge, and really just even wanting to have your roots on the ground there. So that's just that just kind of gives us a picture about Rwanda and why anyone within the international space and even within Africa, within the African continent, should look closely at Rwanda and try to harness the opportunities and the solutions that it provides. I know Kingston did mention a lot about blockchain, about digital innovation, as well as Abraham also noting the fact that Rwanda is positioning itself as a continental powerhouse when it comes to financial technology for the startups, for the firms, for the incubation, for the acceleration, for everything and also bringing in the requisite partnerships globally into the ecosystem. On the back of that, Abraham, I'm going to ask you, recently, I'm thinking that as at yesterday, the KIFC, that's the Kigali International Financial Center, published its 5-year plan that seeks to recapture Rwanda's priorities and its ambitions for financial technology in Africa. So what can you tell us about this 5-year plan that they've put together?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. Super happy to talk about financial technology any day or twice Sunday. So I will start off by, and this is possibly, I'm going to try and keep this super short, possibly one of the last things I might just say, but the new financial technology strategy was just released today, and the Ministry of ICT and the Honorable Minister Paula presided over that ceremony with the officials from the Central Bank of Rwanda and the Kigali International Financial Center. I will say that I have yet to get my hands on the document, but I can speak from the draft of from the 2022 strategy, which was very publicly available, and you can pretty much just Google it. So the first thing that I will say is it's almost that same question, why Rwanda for a fintech small market? Of course, like I mean, people always keep saying small market. But to be honest, there are tons of small markets globally that still punch above their weight. One of the most important, interesting events I've been part of in Rwanda, even before formally living here. And just to give a small background story, my first trip to Rwanda was because I was working on a paper for Carnegie Endowment in the US, and it was a paper on cybersecurity and financial inclusion. And I was basically doing some research, and then I had to come down because there's a university here that's affiliated to the Carnegie Endowment, and basically talk to some of the researchers and academics that were here present. And it was a very interesting experience. And then following that, I was back here for the Inclusive FinTech Forum, which Rwanda organizes with the Monetary Authority of Singapore. The reason why I bring these two things together is Singapore is also population-wise, obviously a small market. It punches above its weight. I was looking at their export figures. It exports around $420-something billion every year. It's basically a city, but it punches above its weight. Obviously, Singapore is not exporting oil. There are several other reasons why it's a global re-export hub. But Singapore is also a very strategic location for global fintechs. And the reason is very simple. When you create an enabling environment, financial technology is not something that's confined to a specific place and time. Some of the largest financial technology companies that we've seen from Africa are companies that serve primarily one market, or two or three markets, and their headquarters, as it were, and a lot of the global team is based outside of Africa even. So when you consider it from that perspective, it obviously makes a lot of sense. It's not a very big distance from Kigali as a financial international center to Kigali as an operational center for financial technology companies. One of the companies that I've been privileged to work with, Kora, is well-respected financial technology company in Nigeria, headquartered in the United Kingdom, basically share the same national headquarters, as it were. And Kora, the chief operating officer of Kora, was recently in Kigali because they were looking to expand, and they were late to the party because Flutterwave, which is one of the larger fintechs in Rwanda, in Africa generally. Rwanda was basically one of their first stops. It was founded in 2015. By 2016-17, they had gotten a license in Nigeria. Guess where was the next place for them to expand to and get the license? It was Rwanda, and this was as far back as 2018. right? There are strategic reasons why businesses, especially financial technology companies, will choose to make this sort of expansion. One of which was what the founder of Flutterwave told me last year when we spoke on the sidelines of the Inclusive FinTech Forum. And it was very simple. They want to make Rwanda an operational headquarters for them for East Africa. Basically, every transaction that will be settled into a business or retail customer account anywhere in East Africa flows to treasury operations in Rwanda, and then from there it's finally dispersed outward. And you would think that that would be the sort of longitudinal expansion you would expect from a company that primarily does a lot of its business in Nigeria and in other African countries. But you have Nala, whose founder is Tanzanian, so it's next door to Rwanda, and they have licenses in Tanzania, obviously, and they have licenses in the UK because that's one of their primary markets. It's also a company that one of the Norsken funds is invested in. And they also made the same directional move from Tanzania, UK, and then they have a license in Rwanda. Essentially, the point I'm trying to tease out is fintechs do not necessarily need a large market to operate out of a place, but they absolutely need world-class infrastructure. They absolutely need the sort of space that has regulations and promotions and incentives that allow them to sort of build out. Most importantly, they need regulators that will listen to financial innovation. That's pretty much what you have at the Kigali International Financial Center, which is also mirroring a lot of this from the Monetary Authority of Singapore. So when you put all of these things together, you have a sort of very potent mix for people that want to sort of explore financial technology. They may not necessarily be serving Rwandan customers, and to be frank, that's not super important. MTN does a very good job, even though, of course, you have concerns about concentration risk, but MTN Momo, for most people, does a very good job. Of course, there are pockets of areas that are underserved, but the point is, with African financial technology companies, whether they are newcomers to the market, such as my friend Nearpays, who runs an international remittance business between Nigeria and Ghana and also expanding to Rwanda, or has already expanded to Rwanda, as it were. For all of these different companies, it makes sense to structure something in a space where they can rely on adequate protections. They can trust that the innovators, the fintech regulators will listen and sort of support financial innovation. They will trust that they will have input into things that have just emerged, like the financial technology strategy for 2024 and for the next 5 years. You put those two things together, or you put all of these different things that I've talked to together, it becomes that why not Rwanda question all over again.
Fantastic. Yeah. So let's look for I mean, unicorns can be bettered, can be created in Rwanda and use Rwanda as a springboard to be able to get into other jurisdictions. And given that you have that much support and that much at the government level, at the higher echelons of governance supporting you, then you can just imagine what you would do. So thank you so much for bringing our attention to the fintech space and giving us your story with respect to Nala, Flutterwave. We also understand that OnAfric and Paystack as well, they're also looking into the ecosystem and trying to harness all the opportunities that Rwanda provides in that space. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to ask Slidey to come in. So we've heard from Abraham, we've heard from Kingston, we've heard from Gail. So what would be your comments from everything you've heard so far?
I think that you cannot explain better than themselves because they have experienced the innovation part, the regulator perspective, etc. And that's what makes the beauty of combining innovation, financial systems, and also opening the country to anyone who is interested of being part of that journey. I think that Gael was talking about the facility on how you can register your company, but even registering your own company, you have also the access to Rwanda. Rwanda is among the country in Africa where any other African country can come in without asking a visa before. So as long as you want to enter in the country, you can come anytime, even if it's only for visiting or looking for opportunity. And that's among the objectives the country had, because as long as we want to tap into different markets, it's really difficult when it's difficult to reach there. If I have to go and spend days in different embassies to get a visa, it's really also discourage ourselves in doing business with other countries. Maybe to emphasize on the regulatory perspective, and it's also part of the innovation and reason why the government is really insisting on the growth of fintech and technology and innovation, because as much as you can ease business, anything is possible. So and usually you may face in other countries, even in Europe or US, when it comes to interact with government agency. We have managed today to have all the government agency online. You don't need to go to a specific regulator to ask for documents or to bring documents. You upload everything online. When it comes to payment or even getting information. So as much as you walk around all of different challenges, you also need to find out how you can solve at every stage and encourage everyone to come and experience it. So I think what is important now is that each country can bring its own expertise and come in and look at the different opportunities. As Augustine said, you don't necessarily need to do operations in Rwanda, but you can use that experience or that platform to reach other jurisdictions. So having that complementarity between the private world, the public institution, etc., and having that potential of saying, okay, maybe we had drafted a specific law and it's not really helping the fintech industry, the fund manager, the TCSP as us. We all sit together and talk about it and find another solution. So it doesn't mean that you need to go to the parliament for the next 2-3 years to make a law gazetted. If it's a priority for the businesses, it can even be done within a month or 2 months.
Okay, that's fantastic. So I'm just going to pivot into what we do, and that's operating within the wealth management and the wealth preservation and investment space. So, Lydie, how does KIFC align with global players within the wealth management and investment space?
Thank you. So I think the most important part there is to understand that we are not coming as a competitor of Mauritius or Dubai or Jersey or Seychelles. Basically, what we are doing is complementarity. If you look at the strategy of the Kigali International Financial Center, the first thing was really to work around partnership with those jurisdictions. We know that we are also learning through the journey. So it is important, for example, to have a partnership with Luxembourg, where they are going to come in and give like training session. How do we develop the model? How do we empower the other people? We talked before around the partnership as well with Singapore when it comes to the fintech innovation. We have Qatar, where also they've been engaged in the financial system and make possible to attract different investment as well in their country, as well also injecting, because today they are really interested in what has been happening into the continent, because this is the future. So I think that we cannot be really build our reputation if we don't put on the ground compliance, good governance, and being aligned about international standard. So if today on the map, when you look at the positioning of Rwanda, either at financial perspective, today you can wire a payment from Kigali to New York to Amsterdam without any issue. And unfortunately, we cannot say that it's the same for the other jurisdiction. So it didn't come overnight. It was really a close collaboration with different partners, different countries. And again, what we are looking at is we are talking about our brothers and our sisters. How can we do things differently? Because again, in terms of proximity, it's easy to talk to someone to Nigeria from Rwanda than someone who is in another country, in another continent, because we have almost the same background, same culture, similarities. So how do we leverage on it? Why? And also to show the world that even in Africa, we are capable. We can trust our own systems. We can work around our own systems to make them better. So we should first trust ourselves and making sure that if someone wants to work about his wealth preservation, we have also solutions. And maybe our solutions are really fitting my brother in Nigeria, in Ivory Coast, or wherever you are going. So I think this is really important. It's not that we are only going to follow what the different rules internationally, but how do we take those rules and make them suitable to our own realities?
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I hear you. We have to, within the African continent, it's almost like buy Africa. I think that's really key. And once we do that, we are able to come as a formidable force within the global space. So we see why it is important for us in Africa and within the continent to actually have financial hubs that we can use to actualize our assets, how we want to structure it, how we want to expand our businesses, and how we want to preserve the value of what those assets are within the African continent. It just makes us a whole lot more stronger. And we are really happy that in addition to Mauritius, Seychelles, and other African jurisdictions, we also have Rwanda actively championing that within the wealth management industry. So Lydia, I'm going to ask you to elaborate. I know you did. I know we saw your slides. We saw the presentation. Talk about Rwanda's laws when it comes to partnerships, foundations, and trust, and the role that they play in attracting international investors or continental investors.
Thank you. I think again, the laws are there, but again, what we want to make sure is that we are going to bring a specific structure which is aligned with what you are looking for. So for instance, are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So for instance, like let's talk about a foundation. You may have a plan to leave a legacy, and you envision the philanthropic perspective. So the law is quite similar with what other jurisdictions are providing. And basically, if we are talking about a common benefit foundation, which is going to facilitate investments in different areas. It can be in health, it can be in education, in innovation. So you will need, for example, to put into perspective a certain governance to make sure that everything is aligned with what the founder is looking at. The foundation can be set up for 99 years. And what is really interesting is that you don't have any obligation to have the activities undertaken into Rwanda. The governance structure is based in Rwanda, but the operations can be held in different jurisdictions. So your foundation will come with the opening of a bank account as an example. We can also give the example of the trust as well. You have different formats of trust establishment where all your assets can be elsewhere, not in Rwanda. But they are managed within the jurisdiction in Rwanda. And what is really interesting and what has been attracting those investors is in terms of the tax around those type of structure for the foundation, as long as it pursue a social perspective or social impact, it's exempted from taxes. And then you have also other combination where, for example, you have someone who is looking at doing business at the same time, putting a certain portion of his revenues into social impact as well. This is also another structure which is there. And then to come back to the wealth preservation, and sometimes in our countries, we prefer to diversify our different assets because it's a way of protecting ourselves, and sometimes because we've been carrying certain instability as well, political, economical. So having now those specific structure within the KIFC, it brings a must in terms of encouraging the individuals, and it's not also it's not only dedicated to the high net worth individual. It can be anyone. It's just a matter of starting early, and I think with this new interest and having that young generation really attracted to innovation and technology, this is something they are now starting thinking about, and it's also open to them.
Okay, so I mean, what is instructive here is that as a financial center, recognized as such, and also competing with other ones, or not necessarily competing, because really it's for Africans. I mean, first off, we are using that, we're having this as a financial hub that Africans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Cote d'Ivoire's, I mean, Uganda's, Kenyans can actually leverage on for their wealth structuring and their entrepreneurial initiatives. So, I mean, Rwanda has set aside distinct rules because that's really what sets you apart. So you would have to have those sets of laws, those sets of rules, those sets of regulations that enables you to have the same world class experience when you're setting up structures, maybe comparable to Dubai, and like we've said, comparable to Singapore, comparable to other IFCs that we have globally. So it's the specificity of the fact that we have laws, whether it's the trust law, whether it's the foundation law, whether it's the partnership law, and all the structuring that are available in any international financial hub that is enabled within the Rwanda and the Kigali International Financial Center structure. So we find that very, very instructive, because it's not all the time you have that finance you that is kind of separated from what you would have for other kind of businesses, but something that is targeted within the wealth management and the investment space, and there's a lot of intentionality around it. So
And
Lydie,
sorry,
yeah.
so maybe to tap on it, and the particularity as well is that anytime we get, we were talking about the different investments we registered into the jurisdiction. And for example, if we are talking for a specific fund, there is one which is coming into my mind, which is Rwanda Innovation Fund. So what is really interesting is that it's not because it is registered into Rwanda that it's going to benefit only Rwandan people. For instance, we had a Nigerian company, a Nigerian fintech, which had the opportunity to get equity from that fund. So again, it's not a matter of bringing only things to Rwanda just for us as Rwandan, but also understanding that if we are growing, we want also to give opportunity to other countries to grow with us along the way.
Okay, fantastic. Well, what I was going to ask you was also the fact that from your experience, how has it been? So you set up the structure in Rwanda. Are those structures readily acceptable in other African countries? So you set up the structure, whatever it is, whether it's a limited liability company, whether it's a trust, whether it's a foundation, and you want to use that structure in other African countries. You want to use it in Ghana, you want to use it in Nigeria, you want to use it in South Africa. What has the experience been like?
So, so far, because again, the particularity of African countries is that usually each country has its own regulation and way of operating. So for the side of the different investor which we've been working with, usually what they do is that they register the main entities like holding, SPVs, etc. And this is those entities which are going to own the other businesses across the different continents because they want to leverage on what we talked about, distribution of royalties, payment of loan interest to the different shareholders, because again, you can be part of a company where you have different shareholders from different nationalities, and it become really key in the fact of how much am I going to be taxed when I want to get back my money. But also having that flexibility. If you have invested $2 million and for any reason repatriation in UK, in Singapore, wherever it is, there is no restriction. And basically this is what is really attracting the different investor into the jurisdiction. But now saying that if I have a company, let's say FSL registered into Rwanda, saying that if I want to do business in Senegal, I'm pretty sure that Senegal is going to ask you to have a company, same in Nigeria. But the difference is that the main structure here in Rwanda is going to be the shareholder of that company in the other jurisdiction. And even if and I think there is an evolution as well in the other jurisdiction, either Dubai and Mauritius. It's becoming quite complicated depending on your nationality when it comes to register certain type of businesses. And they may also in the coming year being more tough, if I may say. While for us, if something is becoming like a challenge or constraint, there is always a way to work around.
Okay, good one, good one. I wanted to be sure that after you've done all the setup, because there are times when you need to provide that kind of advisory ahead for the clients. You don't want a situation where you've already done the setup at the holdco level or at the trust level or at the foundation level, and you want it to hold another structure in another African country, and you now have issues arising, and you probably might not just have that kind of structure. I know that there are some peculiar African countries. Ghana, for one, has a very wonderful threshold where you can have entities like that. So just good to know that whatever it is, we can always seek the clarification and work around it. So we're going to ask those of us that are still on the call. We've seen that quite a number of people have dropped off, but thank you so much for being with us. So if you do have questions, kindly put them in the chat box and we would pick it up from there. But I saw that Damien Stern had asked, I hope I got the name right, what was Lewis Hamilton doing in Rwanda? So who wants to answer that? Gail, do you want to take that, or Kingston? I don't know if Abraham is still with us.
So basically, there is a big project hopefully coming in Rwanda. So the government and the organization around the F1 race want to build a championship in Rwanda. So Lewis Hamilton and team from F1 came to visit the country, I believe, and start to build a different relationship between Rwanda and the organization of Formula One.
Okay, thank you so much. So that answers it. Then we have Samira here. Samira, good to have you with us. Samira is asking, how about banking solutions? Is it possible to open? I think just a minute. I'm trying to get the question, and So she says, is it possible to open a bank account for a Rwanda company, for example? Yeah. So, Lydie, I can see that you do. Do you want to speak more on that, or that's fine?
I think if Samira is still there, she can clarify, because if it's a Rwandan company which is looking at opening a bank account, it's straightforward because you have a company certification which testify that you are doing business in Rwanda. Then yes, you can open a bank account. Same for someone who is resident, as long as you fulfill the different KYC at the bank level, opening a bank account is not difficult.
Okay, but what about and
Can I,
anyone
can I
that's
add to
coming
that?
in the ecosystem as well? It is easy for them to do that. Yeah.
Okay, I
Is there
think
a
Kingston wants to say something.
Okay, Kingston, you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add my voice on the businesses opening account here. I myself, I'm not an indigene of Rwanda, but I have two corporate accounts here, right? So it's quite easy, like as Leah had said earlier. You own a business here. They should be registered with RODB. So you go with your full certification. You go for foreigners like myself, you come with your international passports. You should have what they call a stamp, a stamp, a stamp, because you're going to write an application letter for the account, then it comes with a stamp, and depending on the bank you're opening, they have various currency that you can opt for. I wouldn't want to mention bank name here, but I think I enjoy the service at Equity Bank, BPR. And last night I was having a conversation with a friend, and she was suggesting that I should look into I&M already, right? So all these banks I've mentioned, they have the luxury. Why I call it luxury is because it's not found everywhere. You can get a USD account, yeah. You can have a Euro account. You can have a British pound account, right? And of course, a Rwandan account. An additional spice to that cake was what Bank BPR did. They gave me a Kenyan shilling account. Yeah, so yeah, pretty very straightforward. Like I said earlier, go with your Bank BPR full certificate, your company stamp, your passport, international passport, right? Go with those three requirements, and of course, go with a pen. You're going to write an application for an account, right? Then, of course, your stamp would validate it, and that's it. You have a corporate account with you, with numerous options for currency as well.
Okay, that's fantastic. So, Lady, just on the back of that, um, does it mean that you can? I mean, what about having to do transfers? So you have the bank. Can you give instructions? There are no restrictions within the banking level, so it's not like you can't walk into your bank and do a transfer abroad. Do you have to go through the central bank, or how does that play out?
Thank you. As long as you have money on your account, you can do the transfer. And as Kingston mentioned, usually all the banks have an online platform. So you don't need to go to the bank and drop the documents asking for those transfer to be processed. As long as you have a supporting document saying I'm transferring this amount to this person or this entity for this reason. So there is you don't have any restriction. And the central bank doesn't intervene on the daily management of the commercial bank. So the commercial bank has full ability to assess the transaction and decide if it's a genuine transaction or not. And even in that case, they can ask for additional documentation, but they don't ask for the authorization from the central bank as well. I know that in some Western jurisdiction, you need to have the authorization of the central bank, then the Ministry of Finance. It doesn't work like this here. It's really the commercial bank which take the decision and wire the money. Maybe to go back on what Kingston was saying about providing the certificate, there is maybe something we didn't insist on. Even if you want to register the company in Rwanda, you don't need to fly in to come and register. It's something which can be done online, and this is why basically we are also registered, because we have that mandate of doing representation. Same for the bank account. We can walk around resolution where you give power to someone who has the license definitely to operate on your behalf. And then you don't need to be there to do those transactions. They can all be done online.
Okay, so we have a question here that says, how can a global crypto company set up in Rwanda?
So for that specific one, you need to be aware that crypto is not yet licensed in Rwanda. There is no regulation yet about crypto money. So basically, it will be at your own risk, because the central bank is currently working on the law and the regulation around cryptocurrency. So for the moment, you may not be able to open a crypto company.
Okay, so Lady, just concluding questions here. I'm a bit concerned about data protection, privacy, and confidentiality. Because the clients that we service, their families and their businesses, these are critical things that are important to them. So how is Rwanda positioned? How is KIFC positioned to be able to give the assurances when it comes to data laws, data protection, privacy, and confidentiality, whether it's with respect to business assets, whether it's with respect to business information, personal assets, and all that. We just don't want anybody coming in and they have a trunk load of information, documentation that they can access just about like that. So
Uh,
how has Rwanda and KFC positioned itself?
So again, among the different laws which have been gazetted few years ago, you have the data protection law, which has been revised. So basically, any institution, any private business which is handling data information of clients or third party need also to be licensed. So for instance, as us, because you are really managing data of different clients, especially that they are not mostly living in Rwanda. So we had to go through the process where we have an authorization and making sure that the data we are getting are really protected, because we don't want to be in a position where information about that client is going to be given to anyone in any manner. So you have also penalties related to the breach of data protection as well. So far, it's only regulator who are allowed to have access to those information like in any other jurisdiction. So the privacy of the clients is quite protected, and especially, and that's one of the reasons that law has been revised, because you understand that once you open your jurisdiction to other people, this is something we really need to be careful with.
Okay, fantastic. So we have a comment from Samira here, and she says, "Thank you for all the clarifications that we've provided, especially about the banking alternatives and all the information on KIFC." And she wants to know if there's going to be any conference next year, so that they will be able to come. I know Samira is based in Switzerland, but they have a very broad coverage globally as service providers within the wealth management, funds management, and corporate services management globally. Yeah, they are very recognized brand, a reputable brand at that. So they want to come and visit. So what would you say to that, Lydie?
Come anytime, you don't need a conference. The country is
Okay,
open.
she doesn't need a conference to come. Okay.
Yeah, so I think we have the FinTech Forum next
Yes,
February
yes, yes. Yeah.
as
So
well, which
Samira
has been
works within
rescheduled.
the yeah. So Samira works
Yeah,
within
so
the OMC group. Yes.
oh, thank you, Samira. So you can come if you want in February, but anytime. Usually, as part of the Visit Rwanda, you have different conferences during the year. It really depends on what is attracting to you. But again, if you are interested in specific structure or meeting some specific people, especially if it's KIFC, as one of the member we can facilitate, and we can even organize a call if you need to do so. And then once you have an overview of what you would like to achieve, then feel free to come even January. It's not a problem, especially that you don't need a visa. So anytime.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So Samira will be looking forward to coming down to Rwanda and to understand a lot more about the ecosystem and what it provides for within the African continent. I also know that the FIA, that's the Formula One governing board, I know that at the end of the year they are going to have some awards. So we are looking forward to seeing all the global stars that are the drivers and their teams and their team principals at the end of the year. So we are hoping that happens in Kigali. That would just be absolutely fantastic. So that's an event we can look forward to once the Formula One season wraps up in another 2 weeks, thereabouts. So that said, um, I'm just going to go round again. I know Abraham had another meeting and had to excuse himself. I'm going to ask Kingston and Jill to just give us concluding comments as regards KIFC, Rwanda, and just the general experience of coming into the country and also the ecosystem.
Just a quick note, Mercy. I'm actually back now.
Oh, okay, fantastic. So let's have the three our three speakers that are living they are living in Rwanda, and they are from different African countries and different even if we have jail being a mix, but you just find out that you have people that have relocated and they are staying. That's just what is like super, super intriguing. They are staying and building things from there. And there's really no rush to do otherwise. So Abraham, Gail, and Kingston, please give us your concluding comments. I can't see any other questions here.
So Gail and Kingston, please, you guys should go ahead. I'm the last person that just came back, so please, you have the floor.
All right. Confirm if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, awesome. So as a young entrepreneur, you're looking to expand your business to new markets, right? You're looking to expand your business to new markets, and of course, you want to be sure that you're able to, like I said earlier, able to achieve, those goals that you really want to do. One of the things that really got me interested in Rwanda really was the policy that the country has set for almost everything they want to do, right? I remember when I came here earlier, I got in touch with certain legal firms because I wanted to know where exactly is the country at when it comes to certain levels of development and of course certain levels of business I want to do, right? It's not just enough for you to have an amazing idea. Every idea as it is subject to the environment, right? An idea that won't flourish, for instance, in Nigeria, doesn't mean it won't flourish in Rwanda, right? And it's not because the idea is a bad one, but because the environment, right? Those external factors that makes idea stand may be lacking in one, right? And of course, in the other places, working fantastically well. Just as the way some ideas over here won't work, but it will work very well in Nigeria. So when we talk about the job of the KIFC, right? It's very pivotal for us to have regulatory bodies per se, right, that are pretty much interested about investment and of course pretty much interested about the growth of startups. Just to answer your question as it is, right, it's important that we begin to pay attention to those nitty-gritties that startup need for them to succeed. And when you mention the Kigali International Conference Center, right, one of the things that they do, right, that I love so much according to the notes I have here is that they enable structuring and domestication of investment funds, right? So there are lots of startups I've spoken to in terms of my research here. Some of them, like Lydia said earlier, they don't know what kind of funding they need, right? For most of the times, startups normally would need funding, but what kind of funding structures your business at a particular point in time, right? Is it equity, right? Is it debt finance, right? Should you be focusing on applying for grants, right? Should you be focusing on applying for loans, right? Where exactly are you when it comes to investment? I think, above everything else that would stand out, right, is the fact that, you have agencies, policymakers like the KIFC, right, who have that opportunity, right, to ensure that startup founders are not alone, right? And of course, they need all the support they would have, right, for them to grow. So immediately immediately we'll have that embodiment that accommodates startups, right? Whether you want to have a holding company here, right? KYC have that infrastructure to help it to grow. I've had a couple of interactions with people who have partnered with them in various capacities. And then, of course, the feedback and the reports I've gotten is quite encouraging. And for people who are still transitioning, right, you have a company in Nigeria, you want to expand to an East African market. You can imagine you've spent 30 years of your life in the West African market, right? You understand how Nigeria works, you understand how Ghana works, right? You understand how those countries in the West work. You're moving over entirely to a new market, right? We all need agencies like the KIFC, right, to be able to accommodate you in, right? Nurse you, grow you, tell you what you need, right? Tell you where you should be and help you to get to that journey. End of. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kingston, for that. Girl, your concluding comments?
What a privilege to make the conclusion. So I just want to go back on when we were talking about the banking system. Banking system in Rwanda is really, really good. For example, on our case, we work in many countries in Africa. So it means we have to either receive payment from outside, and also the team of my company, they are spread around Africa. We have team in Morocco, Kenya, Ivory Coast. So it means I have to pay the salary as well on different currency and outside of the country. I know that on other countries in Africa or on other countries all over the world, it was a challenge to, for example, pay the salary on, moving, for example, Rwandan franc from outside or West African franc from outside. That may be a challenge. It's not the case in Rwanda. It's so easy to open a bank account with different currency. And for example, when I'm paying my team in Morocco, I'm making the transfer, and within 3 days they have the money on the bank account. So really, that's really really easy. Another point is about taxation of companies. Depending the size of your business, if you are small companies, medium companies, big companies, the taxation are different, and are advantages to help you to perform better and to increase the size of the company. That came to another point, which is the digitalization of the country. So the government is really well digitalized. We were talking a few minutes before about RDB. For the people who are not in Rwanda, RDB is the Rwanda Development Board. So basically, it's a place where you can find everything about investments, the activity sectors where the government trying to find investors or projects. So that's really helpful. And even for companies, private companies, they try to be digitalized as much as possible, because by having, like, for example, an accounting which is fully digitalized, it's helped them to provide financial stability and as well KYC for partners from outside, from the bank, from the customer, or for the supplier. So that's it for me. Thank you very much for organizing this call. I have to leave you because I have another meeting start in a few. So thank you very much. And if you have any question, feel free to reach me on LinkedIn. I'm totally available.
Okay, just before you go, girl, we have someone here that you could connect with. Emeka Dinkwa says he's new in town and is exploring the Rwanda landscape. That if you have any close networking events, you should please share. So please, Emeka would ask you to connect with girl, and yes, and he runs a networking event. As a networking event provider. So I'm sure that would be a very good
Yes, exactly. So I have another activity where we do networking events.
Yes.
Basically, the goal is really to connect people who's doing business in Rwanda. This is something that we organize once a month. We used to do that at Norsken. So sometimes it's happened at Norsken, sometimes it's happening outside. So the next one coming 19th of December, but that would be a little bit different than usually. It won't be really a networking event, but more like the event company will make a party for the 1 year of this company. So it takes place at Atelier du Vin. You all welcome.
Okay, good one. I also know that Norsken also has a platform that Abraham is also championing when it comes to having a creative space, safe space for everyone that is within the creative economy to come in and also express themselves. So Abraham, your concluding comments, please.
Yes, of course. Well, thank you very much for this. And my sense is this has been an interesting conversation for everyone that's been here. And I'll just wrap up by saying, I feel like you get to understand a bit more about the enthusiasm people have about Rwanda's prospects when you're here. I know we talked about how it's calm, it's quiet, and this and that. But the biggest thing really is you have a lot of intention going towards setting up the different things that sort of add up to success. If you've not visited, or if you visited on pleasure and you were not looking at it from a business perspective, from an investment perspective, you should probably begin to think in that direction. If you have money to invest and you're not sure where to invest, we actually know where investment should go into. So feel free to reach out. If you work with global clients that are looking for opportunities to sort of take positions that will really become valuable as time goes by, potentially even in the short term, should look no further. There's been a very long list of global A-listers and wealthy people, likes of founders of Netflix and so on and so forth, that Kigali is a regular place where they visit. I feel like those are the sorts of people that you would pay attention to them when they begin to sort of pay attention to certain spaces and directions. Of course, at Norskin, we're happy to support entrepreneurs that are building the future of Africa's economic transformation, technology or otherwise. And yeah, we're happy to sort of welcome you whenever you decide to visit.
Fantastic. Good one. Good one. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you, Abraham. I'm sure we are all going to hold you to that. So, for all the speakers, we can connect with them on LinkedIn. They're available. They will be able to provide as much clarifications and just hand holding that is available. If you want to also speak with us, speak with our team here at any point in time, please do feel free to contact us and reach out to us. We are absolutely we are very much available. So whatever it is you want to do, your entrepreneurial initiatives, your ability to be digitally mobile, globally mobile, and you're looking at generational wealth planning, you're looking at setting up structures, you're looking at how to protect what you have, or how to even build a structure around what you're going to acquire into the future, as well as for raising up children within the African continent that are entrepreneurial, that are driven to be entrepreneurs. They are innovative, and they just want that ecosystem that would enable them to thrive. We are available to provide as much advisory as you would require within that space. And that said, Lydie and her team as well are also available. So let us kindly reach out to everyone, yeah, and make our inquiries, and also start the transactions and close the transactions as well. So Lydie, do you want to say something more? Do you have any concluding thoughts, anything that we haven't covered?
Thank you for participating in this webinar. I hope you have learned, and as Mercy mentioned, and the other colleagues, feel free to reach out if you have more questions, and also don't only look for conferences. Feel free to come and visit first, and then we will be happy to help you in your next move. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much for all our participants and everyone that has taken the time to be with us here. We do not take your time for granted. We are very value driven. So, yeah, so you can always reach us at any point in time. And a huge thank you to all our speakers for creating the time and being able to take us on a discourse around Rwanda. I look forward to coming down and having a going on the trail with the gorillas. So I'm hoping that that would be a fantastic experience. And anyone too that likes wildlife, I would encourage you to kind of plan your next trip in Rwanda. You don't need a visa. All you need to do is be there, get on the plane, and you would have a welcoming reception, and a country that would be happy to have you. So thank you to everyone that has made this possible. I also want to thank our back team that has really been working extra hard today. Thank you to Tessie and the team. And thank you to everyone that has made today possible. Thank you, Abraham. Thank you, Lady. Thank you, Kingston. Thank you, Girl. And thank you to everyone that has stayed up until this time. We do appreciate you, and we hope that we'll see you at our next event. So please keep your calendars open and please read our emails. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. Stay blessed
Thank you.
and happy for those that are celebrating. Happy Thanksgiving. And for those that are going to go into the holiday seasons, the festive seasons, the Xmas season, Merry Christmas in advance, and a beautiful and happy new year to all of us. Thank you so much.